Back on the show again, the amazing, the powerful, Mr. Robert Hall. Robert, great to see you again.
Jesse, my man.
Live and in flesh for the third time.
For the third time.
Yeah.
2 more, I think it's 5.
Yeah.
Do I get like one of those smoking jackets like they get on SNL when we do our 5th show?
We can do something. We can even smoke in a jacket if you want.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Scotch too.
Yeah, we can.
Scotching it up, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I'm down.
So, man, it's been a little bit. You have a lot to go into and great conversational topics, and so I want to kick it off from a couple months ago, back in June, and big event, big situation.
Yeah, Lord.
What happened?
So it was the 2019 Masters Pan American Championships in Orlando, Florida. It was a great opportunity to have a family vacation. I took my mother and my daughter, and good Lord, won the snatch gold medal.
Awesome.
Great day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we go out for the clean and jerk, and you've got the video. Stand up with the clean, go to take the jerk, and my shoulder just completely popped out and tore my labrum and twisted up my bicep tendons, my pec, everything, and it's been a long road. Here it is, October 7th, and that's
been a few months.
That's our show.
So what did that feel like? Like going back in that moment and actually the physical pain, the adrenaline, the being on stage, being carted off stage, essentially walked off stage to, I guess, a back room somewhere where they tried to pop it. Talk us through that, man.
Yeah. So shoulder goes out. I didn't really realize what was going on because, as soon as it popped out and the bar went behind me, everything just kind of flashed. And I went down and I realized, I'm like, what the hell just happened? I didn't even know. Once I realized what was going on, I see my daughter sitting in the crowd, my mother sitting in the crowd, and my daughter starts running towards the stage. I'm like, no. I put my hand out like that and I turned away so she didn't have to see what was going on. My coach runs up, he grabs me, takes me in the back, and it took him almost 25, 30 minutes to pop my shoulder back in. It wouldn't go.
Pain level 10, let's say 10 is the worst pain you ever experienced in your life.
78.
Okay. Yeah.
It was miserable. And I'm sitting there and they're trying to crank on it, they're cranking it, it just won't go. They tied me down to a table finally it popped back in and they cinched me up and it's funny, they used a tablecloth.
Yeah.
They didn't have a sling.
Yeah.
So they cut up a tablecloth and they put me in a damn thing, And it's, meanwhile the competition's still going on, and then they call out, the medals, and my mother goes out and gets the medal, and I'm like, no, get off the stage. So I come up, I'm in a damn sling, and I'm like, I want this thing, I earned it, I want the medal. So my mother puts my medal on me, which I thought was really cool.
Super cool.
It was super cool, but my coach puts the medal on my mom, and then they put the medal on me, and I get to hold the flag. Because it's been almost, 2004 was the last time I got to be on an international stage.
Yeah.
So it's been, 15 years since I've had the opportunity to put our flag on my shoulders and hear our anthem and everything. And I was like, I've earned this opportunity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't win the medal, the total medal, which is the one that really matters. But
still got a medal.
Still got a medal. It wasn't a bad one. Couldn't go to Disney with my daughter like we'd wanted to. Couldn't ride the rides. It was a liability. And they're like, no, you can't do that. So what a waste.
So you're down there and your arm's injured. What is the after effect of that pain feel like? Is it hurt still after they've popped it back in like the next couple of days, or does it start to kind of?
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. I'm driving home to Atlanta, and every bump I hit in the road.
Felt it.
Oh my God. And I'm driving the car. And I mean,
no one to blame.
No Advil. They ain't enough medicine in the world to make me feel better. And my poor daughter's just sitting in the back. She's like, Dad, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. But the long-term psychological effects is really where it goes. Because for me, I don't know what was worse about that moment in time. The moment that I got injured, and it was the first serious injury I've had as an athlete. And for 21 years as an athlete, that's pretty good track record.
It's amazing for an athlete.
So. What was worse for me was, was it losing out on that medal that I worked so hard for, or was it the fact that my mother and my daughter had to watch me get hurt?
Both.
But
different.
It's different.
Yeah.
I think for me it was more, I'll have another chance. I mean, I'm gonna go back, the Pan Am Championships are in Puerto Rico next year. I'm going.
Good for you.
I will compete.
Do you think you would have grabbed the total medal if you didn't get hurt?
Oh, for sure.
You think you're on pace, like
Oh,
where
for
you
sure.
with your numbers and you're feeling good and strength and everything?
Everything. I looked at the guy that won his total.
Yep.
I would have won by 5 kilos.
Now, I don't know about that world. Is that impressive, like 5 kilos?
I mean, it's enough of a margin to be significant.
Yeah. Like a clear-cut winner.
It would have been a clear-cut winner. It wouldn't have been like a kilo or two. It would have been a clear-cut, chance. But congratulations to that guy.
Yeah.
He showed up for
Where's he
work.
from?
Canada.
Okay.
Canada. I mean,
North America took home medals.
a lot of medals. A lot of medals.
Is that usually the case? In the Masters?
In the Masters division, usually,
Yeah.
obviously the populations are bigger, so you have more of a pool,
Yep.
and especially with CrossFit, you've got so many more Masters from Canada and the United States.
Yep.
CrossFit started to become a thing in South America and Central America, but a lot of the guys that are competing are folks that were competing in weightlifting
Yep.
generations ago,
Yep.
and now they're coming back to the sport, which is great. I mean, it's cool. That's the great thing I think about weightlifting, is that we have that opportunity to be successful when we're young, take a little break, and then come back when we're over the age of 35 and kind of excel at something else.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Masters athletics is great. I got a guy that I coach who is a senior Olympics guy, and he took silver at the Senior Olympics in Ohio.
Wow.
Throwing shot and discus.
What age is that, like 55?
Dude is, how old's Dave? Dave's 72.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What gets you into senior? Like, what's the benchmark? What age starts off senior?
I think it's 65 for them. I think it is 60. It's 60 or 65 for them. Masters is different. Masters is 35 and older. But I think to be considered for Senior Olympics, you've either got to be 60 or 55. I don't know.
When you're down in Orlando and you're getting prepped for the competition and the day of, and like, what's the atmosphere like, and like, what's just walk us through kind of what the whole experience is like being down there, and just kind of how the things play out and different like logistics pieces to it and all that stuff.
I mean, we're just hanging out.
That's it.
That's the thing I like about weightlifting, is that for me, I'm just hanging out.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday.
Yeah.
It's a Friday. It's just a normal day.
It's another day.
And
just
then
people watching.
I got up that morning and we had a big breakfast, and we're just kind of hanging out by the pool a little bit. Went and got adjusted, and the chiropractor there was really, really good. And we're just watching weightlifting, and my daughter's just taking it all in.
And you're saving your energy.
Oh,
just
yeah.
kind of relaxing,
Hanging out.
enjoying, good vibes.
Yeah.
Do you get into a headspace before it's time to go on stage? You listen to like some Pantera, just go nuts.
I like Motorhead.
Yeah.
I like Motorhead.
Yeah.
Lemmy is God.
Yeah.
But even then, when I go out to compete, I'm not really in the headspace that I want to be in until they call my name.
Yep. It's like a switch.
It turns on. I squat down. I put my hands on the platform, and I just kind of rub them together, just to kind of get the feel. Get a little bit of the grit and the dirt from the platform on my hands, and then the game face goes on.
What's that switch like? Is it like you're hyper aware, almost in a flow state, or is it like you're still not at that point yet, and like as soon as maybe you walk, like your routine starts to kick in, you're walking up to the bar, the platform.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel and look for you?
So it's not until I get the bar in my hands, cold steel in your hands, and then I pick up the bar for the first time, put the thing over my head, and then the lights just go on, and as soon as we put the bar down, everything just kind of calms back down.
When you say the lights go on, is it dark in the crowd?
Yeah.
So you're up there, the lights on you, shining, essentially your center stage, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's dark in the crowd, so you can't see them.
In some competitions, yes.
Yeah.
At this one, the lights were all on in the room.
Yep.
But at some we have had where the stage is lit, and then the room is dark, and they do that for national competitions because I think it helps the athletes a little bit better, because it helps them concentrate, because you're not staring straight into somebody's face.
Right.
They do it on a stage. This one was actually on floor level, and it was fine, because at this point in my career as an athlete, I've been able to just kind of shut everything out, and I feel the room getting darker as I go to the platform.
Yep.
As soon as I grab the bar, everything's quiet, everything's silent, everything's dark. As soon as the bar's over my head and I'm stood up and I hear the buzzer, lights come on.
You come back into it.
So
you're singularly focused on the lift, the movement, the feel of everything, and as soon as that's done, completed, now you get done with that lift. What's the next steps of, is it you wait a little bit before you lift again? Or
Sure.
do you have to do like a few lifts in a row? How does that work?
So it's progressive. So the weight increases every athlete.
Yep.
So for a prime example, I opened with 115 kilos in the snatch, which is about 250 something. Mm-hmm. And I take that lift and I'm done until my next lift, which is 120 with a 265. So there are going to be 4 or 5 athletes in between that 115 and that 120. So they'll go. If they make their lifts, then they continue to go up. And the weight continues to increase on the bar. So when the 120 gets called and my name gets called, then I go out, make my lift, and go back to the back. And I wait for my next attempt. You get 3 shots, 3 clean and jerks, 3 snatches.
What's an attempt consist of? Like, let's say you go up to the bar. I was watching a video of a guy that took him 16 years to get gold. I don't remember where he's from. He's from a different country.
Oscar Figueroa?
Could have been.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, he would go up to the bar and he would like have this intense, and he would like pull up and let go with one hand. Mm-hmm. There was a video of this that happened a few times.
Right.
Is that considered a no lift?
That's considered a no lift. Now,
if your hands are on the bar and then let go, or when's it a no lift?
It's a no lift once it passes your knees.
Got it. Okay.
So once the bar gets from the ground above the kneecap,
yep.
Then if you miss, you miss. But if you get the bar just below your knee and your hand flies off like his did,
yep.
He had another 10, 20, 30 seconds to get it because you have a minute.
So there's a time
you got a minute
component as well.
Yeah, you got 1 minute from the time they call your name
yep.
and the bar is loaded. You have 1 minute to complete the lift.
Okay.
So you chalk up your hands, you go out, you meditate, you do whatever the hell you got to do, and you put the bar over your head.
So if he missed it with just his hand but didn't even leave the ground, he still has some time.
He still has time.
Lift, and it's still good.
He still has time. Yeah. At that point, he's probably mentally out of it.
Yeah.
Because the bar it screwed him up.
Now, why would that happen? Because I'm not in that world. So like, let's say you're at the bar and you're doing the movement. Is he just generating so much force that like
sure.
when he let go of his hand just flew behind him? Is that what it was?
Possibly.
Trying to pop it up?
Possibly. Yeah. Possibly. He was going for. I think he was going for a 127 kilo snatch.
Okay.
Which is right around 280.
Yep.
And I mean, this is a little guy. I mean, he's like a 140 pound guy. So it's remarkable the amount of weight he's moving.
Yeah.
And so his hand, I don't know, his thumb just came out, something. I mean, maybe he had thumb tape on, maybe his hand just slipped.
Yep.
He wasn't chalked up adequately. Who knows? It could have been anything.
And it happened a couple times. Like I think he went from 2004 to 18 or something. That was like a 14 or 16 year gap.
Sure.
Yeah.
He was the Olympian in I believe 2000, 2004, then 2008, 12, and then in 16 in London, he was the Olympic champion. The guy,
perseverance.
That guy's remarkable.
How old is he?
Lord, he's got to be in his mid-30s by now.
Late 30s. So ideally, someone who takes care of their body, someone who's mechanically proficient, someone who does all the aftercare and all these things from chiropractic to fascia massages and all that stuff, facial release massages, all these things that you can do to your body. Can someone be like a Tom Brady and just go out there until they're 42, 43 and compete at the highest level and dominate there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There was a guy 50 years ago by the name of Norb Szymanski, and he was an Olympic medalist for the United States, and that dude was lifting in the Olympics until his 40s.
That's incredible.
We've got a guy on the world team this past year. His name is Jason Ponic. He lifts for Vero Beach Weightlifting down in Florida, and this guy's 38, 39 years old. And he's, putting up 400 pounds in the clean and jerk, living his best life.
That's crazy.
Looks like Sean Roden, the bodybuilder, just jacked out of his mind. Very impressive guy. I like watching that guy. And plus, it's cool because it's like he's one of us.
Yeah.
He's an older guy, and he's at the peak of his world, living his best life, just killing it. So, I mean, if Jason Bonner, if you ever see this dude, you got a fan.
Maybe we'll have him on the show.
Get him down from Florida.
There you go.
He's a cool dude, man.
So now you get the injury, you're coming back. They told you rehab was 4 months, but you said screw that. The rebel that you are, and you did it in half the time, or even faster.
I tried. So one of the beautiful things about what I do for a living is, not only do I get to work with athletes every day, but one of the spots where I work is a PT clinic.
Yep.
So I have access to everything, dry needling and massage therapy and everything. And so
cupping and stuff like that.
Cupping. So one-on-one physical therapy is just up 85 here. It really was fortuitous finding them when CrossFit HD went out of business. It was really fortuitous to find them, because who would have known that a few weeks later I would be needing them desperately to help me get back to what I love doing on my own journey. So I just went in every day. I go coach my folks, and then after that I'll stick around and I do my rehab stuff. They gave me.
Weeks, are you still in a sling?
No, I didn't even keep a sling.
Okay.
I kept my arm close for a little while, but the best thing to do is just try to move it a little bit at a time. Yep. They had me doing little arm circles where I'm leaned over and doing little arm circles. It started with that, then it started with doing bands and doing, rotator cuff stuff, just trying to strengthen those. Eventually we got to side lateral raises. The one that's still a little bit tough is this one.
Okay.
You can hear it, right?
It's like an impingement. Yeah, I heard it pop.
A little pop.
Yeah.
It still pops.
Yep.
It's just the labrum's not, doesn't have the work, but it'll all come.
So they gave you a diagnosis. They said 4 months is when you
4 to 6 months would be before I'd have a barbell over my head.
And you got
4 to
back
6
there
months.
too.
Into.
And so now we were talking off air. It's not even the physical. It's more the mental.
It is the mental.
Yeah.
I'll have a lift over my head. I'll have 60, 70 kilos over my head. It's about 150 pounds. Yeah. And my arm will start wobbling, and I'm like,
Immediate kick it out.
I'll put it down if I get worried. But it's when that illusion of invincibility is completely lifted. It's unreal.
It usually happens earlier in people's lives.
It usually does. But
not always.
Made it to 36 made it to 36. I did good. It's just you sit there and you think, God, I can do all this stuff. I've got a 8-year-old daughter who thinks I'm freaking Superman or Iron Man or whatever. And so she has to see me, get hurt. And that shit sucks, dude. Because it's like, this is your daughter.
Yep.
And the last thing I want my daughter to do is think that there's anything wrong with me, that I'm vulnerable to anything. That's the part that really sucks the most. And it scared the hell out of my mother too.
Yeah.
Poor thing. I felt so bad. She hadn't seen me compete in almost 20 years. And the one she comes to, I damn arm falls off. I felt so bad. I felt so bad for them more than I did for me.
The ego, in a sense, is hard, man. It's hard because it's a necessary thing to have,
True.
But it's tricky because it wants to be heard over everything else. It wants to be identified, and being the superhero or the super dad or this or this is part of that. But then the other side to it, which is kind of, I guess, more not more or less better or worse, but just it needs to be there, is the vulnerability too, because your daughter at some point she'll have a failure, she'll have something where seeing you in that state and how you responded to it, that you were human, but then you came back, and in her eyes maybe you came back to that Superman status. Maybe you never even changed that status.
Maybe not.
But she sees that, and so now when she goes through her trials and tribulations in life, you'll have role model that for her too.
Sure.
So I think the ego is important because it gets us certain places, but at the same time we have to be careful not to let the ego just drive us.
Right.
And so now you're moving the business. The business was moved to where you picked up additional clients in a space that you had kind of delved into with people with like impairments and disabilities.
Movement disorders, Parkinson's.
Yeah. So now talk about that one person going into the range of motion that you were introduced to with her, not being able to do much, and then now what she's done 3 months later.
Mm-hmm. So when I went to one-on-one PT, I just had the 2 clients, these Parkinson's, a couple have Parkinson's, and over time, one of the head instructors moved on. She's doing nutrition and strength work for youth soccer up in Duluth, and she's doing great. I love it. So, but she left me her folks.
Okay.
And one of the ladies that came in, her name's Diane. She has Parkinson's. And her husband, Tom, is the beacon of health. Super cool guy. Love them both to death. And she comes to me and, of course, with Parkinson's being the crippling disease that it is, she has difficulty getting out of her chair.
Yep.
And it's not about strength all the time, being the strongest. It's about being able to move. And that's something that I kind of came to grips with when I got injured was, I need to be able to pick up my daughter, pick her up and throw her around, throw her up in the air, whatever you want to do until I'm old. And I don't like that. So with Diane, it kind of, we kind of, built that relationship because she couldn't get out of her chair. So I said, all right, we're going to get you moving. We're really going to get going with this. So basically, we started her from just a high box,
yep.
and I want her to step up from there, real easy. This is July, early July. Slowly, we've lowered the box, getting another box, and today she did full back squats.
It's incredible.
Full back squats. I mean, she's holding on to the Smith machine bar, and she's lowering her body all the way to the floor. I put a little pad underneath her in case she lost her grip, and I'm standing there behind her. I got a video of it on my phone, but it's really cool having the opportunity to help these people live a better life well into their 80s.
Yeah.
And this woman's she's 70. I think she's 75. She's 75. I've got another lady who's 80. But this woman went from can't get out of her chair 3 months ago to she's squatting all the way down, and now she's just jumping up out of her chair. What's
been some of the protocol or the training you've had around to see that progression? Because thinking about Parkinson's in general, it's such a degenerative disease, and right. it decimates everything.
Yeah.
And for someone to almost be on the comeback in a sense, in a way,
sure,
mobility-wise, it's incredible. So what are some of the steps that you walked her through mentally or physically, the building blocks, strengthening, and things like this?
I think a lot of what helped her was just believing in herself. Mindset. I mean, life is mindset. You're gonna be a little punk ass little bitch, or you're gonna do your thing, and have the power.
Yeah.
And
good He-Man reference.
It's a great He-Man reference. I write it down in my book just about every week. Love it.
You say it like He-Man with the sword.
I sure don't.
I would go.
I'm not there yet. But no, man. I said, get up. And I can't get up. I'm like, take my hands.
Yep.
Okay. Take my hands. Take my hands. Get up. Okay. Get up. She puts her hand down on the thing, and I said, that's good, because you're thinking of clever, creative ways to get yourself up.
Yeah.
I mean, if she falls on the ground,
have to get up somehow.
She's got to get up somehow.
Yeah.
So I also teach them how to get up once they fall.
Yep.
That's a big thing. Anybody in this age group, they fall, they break a hip, it's lights out. Could be.
Yeah.
So helping them learn how to get up to that knee position, to flip, to spin around and help themselves get up, it's important. But with Diane, she had to convince herself that she could do it. Because with Parkinson's, it's defeating. Your body starts to just kind of wither away, and that's not even it. I was actually reading something on social media the other day. They did a surgery in Israel like a week ago, and they stopped the tremor.
Incredible.
It stopped the tremor. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
Now they've got things that they say, well, a lot of these diseases are coming from gut health. Well, duh.
The gentleman I had on the show earlier today, Dr. Joe Esposito, he is a guru when it comes to gut health.
That guy's awesome.
And nutrition. And the conversation we had and the things that I'm into personally, the things that he's done in his career, it's amazing what you can control by what you do or don't put in your mouth.
Oh, for sure.
Supplements, foods.
Oh, absolutely.
How you do things, intermittent fasting, all these things that you can do. And people we have the access to the information. It's a matter of just doing it.
Yeah. I like the intermittent fasting. It's great. In fact, I'm really hoping that you don't hear the rumbling in my stomach.
I heard it a couple times. Yeah.
I heard yours too.
Yeah.
No, but Joe, Dr. Esposito is right on, man. That guy is sharp.
Yeah.
That guy is sharp.
35 years he's been in the industry, and like now in an industry that was on the fringe, especially because he's a chiropractor first, and I don't even know how to say the other word. He's some sort of osteo something doctor, but he's been doing this for so long, and now that it's becoming understood that a lot of these things are working and they work in unison together with, making sure the body's in alignment, making sure your mind's in alignment, making sure that your nutrition and your sleep and all these things, like the core tenets of fitness. And a lot of people overlook it because they just want to go buy a pill. They want to buy a bottle. They want to say, I don't want to have this headache, so I'm just going to go pop a pill. And that's okay temporarily, but like go to the root of the cause.
Right.
And like go get adjusted, or go like stop doing things that are not good for your health, like drinking too much or eating the foods that are getting you inflammation. So
you're just going to put a Band-Aid over it and walk away from it every day? You're going to put a Band-Aid on something every day?
Do it.
Come on,
for
man.
their whole lives.
It's crazy.
And then you talk about,
but it's easy.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's easy.
It's easy.
It's marketed heavily. The people, the powers that be.
Yeah, the doctors. That's what they push.
Yeah.
I got a lady right now who was having lower back pain, and they stuck her on muscle relaxers. I'm like, no. I said, get in the gym. We're gonna stretch you out. We're gonna stretch the quadratus lumborum is a muscle in your lower back that no one takes care of.
Yep.
You have back pain, probably QL.
It's almost like the psoas too.
Yeah, like psoas.
And it can.
Well, you sit in a chair all day, of course.
Yep.
You're gonna have tight hips. You're gonna feel like crap. Work your body.
Yeah.
This has to last. It's meant to move.
I think I forget who it was. It may have been Socrates or somebody else. I'll try to think of the name, but basically they were saying there was a quote that really resonated with me. It was like, what a sin it is for someone to not understand the miracle of their body and the movement of their body. I'll get you the quote after, but basically that was it. It was just use your body, see what it's capable of. It's a miracle, and use it. And so we were talking about frailty just a few moments ago, and that's one of the leading, mortality causes for people in their upper elderly years. And
for sure.
If you can train for that, if you can position yourself, with everything taken into circumstance of your health and your wellness, and if you can get yourself to a point where a fall's not going to kill you, or even for me, I want to be able to run and play with my kids as long as possible.
Oh man,
I want to do it with my grandkids and their kids. If that's the will of the higher powers, whatever, that's what I want.
Which is why you went on that hike yesterday.
Yeah.
That was a good. Those were good. Those are good. I love it when you do those kind of things on your social media. Yeah. Which, guys, if you're not following them, and you're doing a bad thing, follow them. Because your stories, I love your stories.
I appreciate it.
Because you get to convey that message. I know we're getting off topic, but I don't care. I enjoy what you put out there.
I appreciate that, man.
I really do.
Yeah, man. So when I believe in running, and I believe in fitness, and I believe in strength and conditioning.
You can have all the running.
Dude, yeah.
I'll hike. You can have the running.
Mindset that we'll talk about. So Goggins, he said, I hated running, so I ran. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. Like I enjoy running now, but I hated it when I first started. And so I went on a run yesterday, and my mentality was, a lot of times when you run, you'll start going down these paths, literally and figuratively, of comfort.
Right.
So you'll start running the same path, you'll start doing the same stuff. And yesterday I just wanted to run and be free. So wherever at the spur of the moment I decided to go, I would veer off and go this way.
Nice.
And eventually I ended up in these trails and these hills. And as you're running, a lot of times you have scenarios that play through your mind, and you have these feelings of emotion. Your endorphins are running, and all these different things. And a thought came to mind of how I had a lot of parallels. It's going to seem kind of funny, but with Thor and his story through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of all the things he's been through with, he lost his world, he lost his mom, he lost his dad, his brother, he lost his faith, his people. I've been through a lot of, obviously I don't have Mjolnir in my back pocket, but I've been through a lot of similar things in my life. And I wanted to share that with the world of, as much as you've been through, you're not broken.
No.
As much as crap and shit has happened to you, you're still loved. And no matter what, you always have value to give to the world. And that was just something that really resonated. Yes, I'm a huge nerd when it comes to Marvel comics and things like this.
Same, love them.
But the parallels of their stories really resonate with, today. It's like the Greek mythology back in the day. The stories that they used to tell were ways that you could kind of apply to your life and your challenges.
Right. Well, that's what makes these movies so compelling, is that, not only are they, popcorn movies, but they have a good story. Yep. And they're well written, and it's like, it resonates. Yep. And it's funny that you were talking about Goggins earlier, is that I hate running, so I ran. And it's just like, well, damn, I hate doing dishes, and I did all the dishes this weekend. my girlfriend will appreciate that joke.
There you go.
God, dishes. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, no, so listen, even those things, mindset around anything, it all started small with me listening to Goggins. So I've listened to the book twice this year.
Yeah.
And
that's next for me.
Yeah, it's been a game changer in my life, and it's all about callousing your mind and making yourself mentally stronger. His quote, his tagline is "Stay hard" and like stay tough, stay strong. And he does it through little challenges. So like I remember when I first started this, one of the first things that helped me was doing the cold shower challenge with Wim Hof. So in January, Wim Hof puts out this challenge. He says, go take a shower cold, put it on cold for 10 seconds. The next day, put it on cold for 20 seconds. And so like now I don't take a shower that's not completely cold the whole time. And it's not cold enough because I've done it for so long. Right. And it helps with so many things. Mindset, being tough. It helps with your health and wellness because the cold and the warm contrast helps with your immunity.
Wim Hof, that name's familiar to me. Is that the guy that does like the polar bear challenges and everything else?
Yeah, he's like a huge like advocate for mindset as well.
Sure.
He's someone else to check out. But with
he's like a big burly dude with a big old beard.
Yes. But he's a happy-go-lucky guy.
Man.
He's the guy that can go sit in ice up to his neck for hours and like not even have an issue. It's incredible.
Because he's calloused up to it.
Yeah, he's callous and he's got a breathing technique. It's a whole thing with him. It's physiology. He can change his physiology. But with Goggins, it was little things like if I was carrying something heavy, let's say like these 4-gallon water jugs that we have at the house for water, and there's no way to grip them, there's no handle, so you got to put your hand underneath like the top, and it's 50 pounds in each hand. It's uncomfortable because the plastic's kind of hard, and so you're carrying it, and so like I would actually carry it steps further than I had to callous my mind. So if I had to bring it to the water, I'd walk back to where I started and bring it back again. So like little things like that. If you keep adding those things together, your mindset is unstoppable. And like we don't even know what we're capable of. Goggins was one example of the human ability to do these things, but there's people that can go past that too.
Outliers, man.
Yeah, talk about outliers.
Outliers.
Gladwell, man.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend actually gave me that book for
great book.
My birthday. And she's like, well, when you finish reading, I want to read it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So it's just sat there for a couple of weeks because
like every good book.
Well, I mean, I'm reading other stuff too.
Yeah.
And I'm reading all kind of other stuff. You know, like I'm halfway through Howard Stern's new book.
Yeah.
And I like that because, and we'll talk about it later, but I really like it because it's all his old interviews, and you know, it kind of is the evolution of him as a person.
Yeah.
More about that later.
Yeah.
But you know, with Outliers, you know, I've gotten into. I got into the Bill Gates chapter and how he became Bill Gates and how he was in a private school that had computers and he could write code, and it cost money to write code, so they found a way to cheat the code to where it wouldn't cost money, it wouldn't give time. So instead of writing the equal sign, they wrote the word out equals, and it didn't, like something. They figured out how to do hack the system.
Yeah.
And you know, they say 10,000 hours for mastery. Well, by the time this guy had you know gone to school to Harvard, which he dropped out of and made his company, he'd already had 15 to 20,000 hours of mastery. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So of course this guy's going to succeed. And then the guy who created, they say is the grandfather of the internet. Godfather of the internet, Bob something. I can't remember his name.
Yep.
But really interesting. And then the Beatles. How the Beatles, you know, and not many people are going to know about this, but when the Beatles were getting started, their agent sent them to Germany, and they were playing strip clubs.
Yeah.
And they play 8 hours a night. Most people, they go to a music gig. Like, we got a place in Marietta called Nick's, and my buddy Nathan Nelson will get up on stage and he'll play for 2 or 3, 4 hours. Now that's great because he's learning his craft and he's doing it all over town.
Yep.
But these guys are playing 8 hours a night, 5, 6 days a week. Well, shit, by that time, no wonder these guys took over the world in the 60s because they were masters. They played their instruments, they knew their songs, they played the crowd, they knew what their market was, and they were damn good at what they did.
Hone their craft. And
unbelievable.
With people that are specifically musicians or actors, it's all about getting the time in anything you're doing, right? Anything you're working on. But that reminds me, talking about the Beatles playing in like random places to get in front of people and to hone their craft. Kevin Hart did that too.
Yeah,
he was
right.
He was like a mic guy that would actually go out and tell jokes, and then I think he worked at a strip club as well. And so just before the people would come out and do their dances, he's the guy that has to go out there and get people laughing and excited, and all of a sudden it's sexy time, and he has to come back out and tell jokes. So like he's not like in the most ideal place to hone his craft, but you have to be able to go out there. Throw your ego out the door and say, we got to practice, we got to get in front of people, we're going to suck, we're going to get better, and again and again and again and again until you do become a master.
That's Nailhead.
Yeah, man.
It's perfect.
So Outliers, talking about that, what are some other things you picked up just going through that book? Anything like resonated with you in the book?
So, I mean, I'm still getting into it. I'm still very early into the book. But something that I thought was interesting was that the best hockey players are born in January, February, and March.
Winter months.
Winter months.
End of winter,
yeah. Yeah, because something about Canadian hockey is that they have a cutoff for when they will accept kids into their program. Yep. And if you're born, later on their calendar, you just don't have, the experience level and the practice and everything. So, they have this thing. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was like their Stanley Cup for juniors. Yeah. And the MVP of every one of these cups they've had every year was born in either January or February.
Incredible.
And it's like that shouldn't happen. Yeah. But it does. And I think they had one guy who was born in August.
Like a summer month.
So that guy's the outlier. Yeah. But it's still just really incredible how that goes along. And then the richest people to ever live in the history of the world were born in these set years. It's like Bill Gates I think was born in 55 and Steve Jobs was born in 57. Yeah. So there's a 5 to 6 year block where all this stuff, most of the world's wealth is going on with Rockefeller and with
so there's segments
Vanderbilt.
There's
segments and pockets throughout time where these people have amassed tremendous amounts of wealth because they hit the stride and they were the best. Yep. So, for us, for our generation, I'm thinking about, social media. You got people who were born from let's say 88 to 93. Those are the people that are going to make the most money as social media influencers because they have the experience with it. I'm not going to make any money being a social media influencer. I don't want to be a social media influencer. I want to influence, youth athletes
the people around you.
Exactly. I care about this bunch.
Yeah.
I don't care about this bunch. I can't reach everybody.
Yeah. Not everybody's supposed to be a social media
and I'm not cute.
Influencer. I don't know. I've had some people reach out on your last episode and say that dude was good looking. So you might.
Is that why you brought me back?
I did it for the third time so that I could pander to my audience. But anyway, so yeah, man, social media influencers. That's an interesting thing because, and we'll talk about this real quick. There's people that are actually influencing, right? And there's two thought processes. There's the people that say, do as I do, I'm perfect, I go out and you can tell this too. If you see someone, let's say someone has 100,000 followers on Instagram and you look at their engagement, right? And they put out a post and out of 100,000 people, only 400 people like it, whatever. Or a handful of people comment.
Exactly.
Most likely they're doing something below board to get those followers, whether they're buying followers, whether they have bots that are getting fake followers, whatever the case is. So at the end of the day, I don't know who you believe in terms of a higher power, what you believe in, but you're not really supposed to put a ton of stock into following people because they're fallible.
Exactly.
Right? So you can take and learn from people. That's the goal, like the Bill Gates, the Steve Jobs, the Jeff Bezos. But he's a really good example too because he may be the richest man in the world at one point. There's always a back and forth between who's the richest and who's doing things. But even he has experienced things like infidelity and whatever. And so you got to be careful.
That's tough
for kids that have role models or kids that have people they look at. Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt. Pick things from these people that are doing well, let's say in business or relationships or health and wellness, and let the other stuff just kind of ride. You don't have to follow everything they do.
No, but learn from the great things that they're doing and use it in your life. Try to do it better if you can. Yep. I look at a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk. I like that guy.
Gary V.
Gary V's cool because here's a dude that
he's raw, he's real.
He's raw, he's real, he swears and he's doing all this other stuff. And he said something the other day that really resonated with me. He said, people give me a bunch of crap because I cuss and I say all this and this, and I cuss in front of my kids. Of course I cuss in front of my kids. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that my kid got a D on his math test. Yep. And I'm like, hello, 100%. Yep. My daughter the other day, she did not do really well on a test that felt like she was prepared for. Yep. And I was bummed about it, and she was bummed about it. But you know what? the great thing about being this child's father is that I fail all the time.
Yep.
I blew out my damn shoulder in front of my daughter, which was the hardest thing that's ever happened to me, personally. Not stuff that's happened to her, but like stuff to me. And she comes in the back and she's like, "Dad, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little, I'm playing it off." She fell off her bike the other day in the gym. She's just riding a bike. She fell off the bike. She's got her helmet on and everything. She's fine. But she falls, and then she goes she looks over at me, and she's like, "I'm okay," and gives me the thumbs up. I could tell that she was like, "Oh, this hurts so bad." She fell on her butt. But she knows that the example is there. She doesn't. She's learning, and it's so important, especially to people like us that have kids. It's like this is our opportunity to get it right. The things that our parents got wrong, the things that we're going to get right. Otherwise, if we don't, we're in an endless cycle of just being doomed to repeat it. And I'm not going to make those mistakes. I'm not doing it. I might make different mistakes.
That's what history is supposed to teach us. Teaches us what not to do again moving forward, so we don't repeat it, especially if it's a bad history. And so, being parents, and even with we get two sons that are young, 5 and 3. And I was talking to my buddy a while back. It actually may have been on another podcast episode. I think it was Justin Cobb, and he was saying how his daughter's doing stuff, and we had a conversation that went into, how do we know we're doing the right things? And so there's these little things that they show us, and little things that they do, and you know that it's working, and you know that it's going to take care of itself. And that's really what it comes down to, is if we do our part and we try to do better than, do our best, and we implement good parenting structure and love and all these things and teaching them things, it'll work out, And then there's a lot of, it's on them to do things and stuff like this. So at the end of the day, as long as we're doing what we can, doing the best we can, and we're seeking and we're growing, we're trying to get better as time goes on, it'll work out.
I think so.
Yeah.
Something as simple as reading a book and learning something new is going to make you a better parent. It's going to make you a better person.
Yeah.
But, we're grooming them to be better versions of us.
That's right.
So we have to be the best versions of us. Otherwise, they're not going to be the best versions of them.
Yep.
And that's where shit gets hard, because there's a lot of lazy people in the world, man.
That's right.
A lot of lazy people. And I hate to say it, but in a lot of cases, shit people make shit kids.
It's true. Shit circumstances, if they can't get around it, makes it for tough upbringing.
Right.
But just kind of talking about something really funny off topic there with liquid death. So
liquid death.
You were talking about liquid death before we jumped on. I'm like, what is that? Like some sort of alcohol or something?
No. Dude. So this is genius. So liquid death is a canned spring water from Austria. It's in a white can. It looks like a Miller Lite can.
Yeah. And
it's got a big like melting skull on it. It says liquid death. It's an old English whatever. And it's a can of water.
Yep.
That's all it is. And
spring water pulled from Austria.
Yeah. Murder your thirst with liquid death. Sell your soul for a free case of liquid. It's genius marketing. And
so how did you hear about this?
It was on goddamn, it was on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I saw an ad for it, and I was like, what in the hell is this?
The ad found you, probably.
The ad found me.
Yeah.
All the ads find me.
They do. They find everyone. That's the point.
That's how I got these damn socks. Mm-hmm. Nintendo socks.
I have the same one.
I love them.
Same pair. Also the great ones.
They got the shoes, too. Yeah. They got the shoes that have the Nintendo controller. I'm buying them. It's $50. I don't care.
That's crazy.
I'm frivolous.
No, I love it.
I'm not a frivolous person.
Listen, don't go crazy with your money.
I'm gonna get a pair of shoes. I get looks for all this.
So liquid death. Did you actually get in to start drinking in it? Was it a novelty? You just drank it once?
It was a novelty. I bought a case. I saw them. I loved the marketing. I thought it was hysterical. They had a YouTube video on their website, and it was just like
How was the water? Was it just water?
It's fine.
Yeah. Was there any difference? Like, this is a really.
Oh hell no. But it's beautiful marketing. It's hysterical.
Yep.
It said something like 99% of evangelical Christians hate us. And I'm like,
it was completely catchy writing.
What is that?
Yeah.
Like 99%. Okay, sure. I'm gonna buy a case. $20. Fine, I'll buy a case. It's just water.
Yep.
But it was funny. It was just one of those. It was one of those Howard Stern kind of moments. It was just really funny.
Yeah. You mentioned Howard Stern earlier. What he put together a new book?
Yeah, so Howard Stern Comes Again was his new book that came out in May. It was after you and I had spoken.
Okay.
I don't know. Everybody thinks that he's a lunatic, but I think he's great.
I think he's great too.
I think he's great.
Funny story about him when he was on air on TV. Anyways, I forget if it was like VH1 or something like that. One of those channels. He'd be on
E-Network.
E-Network, something like that. He was on to he would come on at like 11:30 at night. Mm-hmm. My grandmother, years ago, we're going back probably 15 years or so ago, somewhere around there. My grandmother, who was in her late 80s and then early 90s, she used to always say, depending on the time of night when it was, because I lived with my dad at his house for a while, and she was living there too. And she'd say, "Put on My Boyfriend. I want to watch My Boyfriend." So it meant David Letterman, depending on what time it was, or it meant Howard Stern.
Oh, God.
And my late 80s, early 90s, grandmother would love watching Howard Stern. She had a great sense of humor, and I think the spectacle of it all, the guests that were on the show, and just kind of it was a train wreck.
It was outrageous.
Yeah, but he was such a good producer of the content. He was such a good kind of maestro of everything.
Ringleader, man.
Incredible.
Ringleader.
So what's in the book? What's going on?
So his book is basically a catch-up from, is it Miss America? I think it's Private Parts when he had his two books. And basically, this guy was doing whatever the hell he had to do to stay relevant, stay on the air, and he was outlandish and telling dick jokes and having adult film stars on and just doing crazy shit because it was what got him noticed, it was what got him paid, it was what got him taken care of. And he says in his book he's very open about everything, about his psychotherapy and how he had this big chip on his shoulder and he wanted to piss everybody off to get ratings. And then he met Beth, his wife Beth, his second wife. And she just kind of makes him better and makes him calm and that's so important to have a partner in your life that helps you to become your best, not makes you, but helps you become your best self by pointing out hey, this other stuff. And he's talking about her in his book, and he talks about all the it's basically interviews. It's the transcripts of a lot of his interviews. They had one with Madonna and Mike Tyson. The Dave Chappelle one was good. He had Trump in there. He had Harvey Weinstein, Jon Stewart from The Daily Show. Just all these people who have great stories, who are really relevant to the world today still. He had what's her name on his show? He had Billie Eilish, the musician. Yep. So she and her brother, Billie Eilish is actually Billie and her brother Phineas. It's a collaborative effort, and he writes and produces a lot of her stuff, and she harmonizes and writes some of her piano music. But they went through the process of how they write songs on the air.
Wow.
And she just starts playing a melody and humming along and just kind of putting a few words out there for everyone. But it was just off the top of
how
the head.
It comes out of thin air. The two of them come together and say, "This is what happens." Right. The magic was kind of documented, so to speak.
This girl's 17 years old. Her brother's 21 or 22, but they're masters.
Yep.
They're outliers. Yep. Just like Malcolm Gladwell. And it's cool because now he's not really interviewing people to shock. He's on Sirius. He's got tons of money. He's happy. He's learning about the soul of the person. He in my opinion, is better than Leno or Letterman or Carson will ever be.
A lot of those guys are just kind of in this old way of doing things where it was this kind of shtick comedy and it was looking for laughs, and it wasn't. Nowadays things are totally different. It's all about just the flow of the conversation and being authentic and just being real.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
What we're doing.
It's not the whole stage and set up for this and whatever. It's Rogan talks about this a lot. It's just people, especially comedians, used to have to go on those shows to get noticed.
Sure.
But now they can go start a podcast. They can go on YouTube. They can go on each other's shows.
Isn't it amazing what social media has done?
It's completely liberated people in a lot of ways. People talk about, social media divides us and whatever. But at the end of the day, we would have been divided or had these different beliefs without it. It's just now it's given everybody a microphone. They didn't have a microphone before.
No.
And it's also it's given people power. So if you have a thought, if you have a belief, if you are Phileas, the group, or whatever, how you say that, right? You can go start your own YouTube channel. You can go put out your own videos. You can create content every day. You can create videos every day. You don't have to wait for MTV to come knock and say, come on our show and do whatever.
So many people have created a better life for themselves because of social media. So it's a wonderful tool. I mean, it's the devil, but it's a wonderful tool. I don't think that my business would be half what it is had social media not come along.
100%. And that's for most people's businesses and most people's brands and most people's everything. And I think that just like any other tool, it's how you use it. It's either do you use it or not, and then how do you use it, right?
You got it.
So, so what else, man? What else is going on for the rest of 2019? We're in Q4. We're about to end the year. Anything exciting, motivating? You're looking forward to 2020, which for the first time, and I'm actually talking about this in one of my videos, it's the first time in human history, hindsight's in front of us. 2020.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled about where we're going next year. We've got what, 3 months left in this decade.
I know. It's crazy.
This decade.
It's crazy.
The teens are gone.
2020.
And
we're supposed to have flying cars.
We're supposed. Where is it? No.
Eli's landing rockets.
But we've got. But look at this thing we've got out here. We've got this express lane that I enjoy using every morning.
I've heard nothing but great things about it.
It's wonderful.
Yep.
I don't like to sit on 285 and stare at the back of cars anymore. I don't have to. The only thing that freaks me out though is the fact that 6 hours a day it goes one way, and 6 hours a day it goes the other way. So like now they're all going northbound. To me that's a little hokey. I can't get down with that. But it is what it is, and it's really
people choose to live outside of the city, man. They got to drive north.
I live outside the city. I live back in those hills and those trees. I can see Kennesaw Mountain from here. There's my house, Kennesaw Mountain.
I'm up over there too, man.
And it's totally fine.
Yep.
Because I don't care. I get up early enough to where I don't really see a lot of traffic.
Yeah. Yeah, you asked me last time on the show how I was like, I just usually beat it. Like I either stay late or come in early or both, and you just work around it.
I'm in the gym every day by about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
fine.
Especially your industry too, because a lot of people that want to get a workout and are training in before the job. Or
I had 9 people in the gym this morning.
I believe it.
Before I went to the PT clinic, before I went to PT at AP at our CrossFit place in Chamblee. 9 people walking in the door.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody was firing and feeding off each other. I didn't sit down. I'm just going for 2 hours straight, just going.
But that gives you energy.
Awesome.
You start momentum.
Who needs coffee?
Yeah, no.
I got this.
And that's something I learned about today with Dr. Joe, right? Water. Is coffee has all these negative effects. If you 1 cup or less a day is good. Anything over a cup, you're harming your body in so many ways.
Yeah.
And the good thing about I've never needed coffee, never drank coffee. I just don't need it. And
water.
It's all water, and build the momentum. And once you get going, energy breeds energy. And things like intermittent fasting, where you're not wasting calories on diet and digestion, and there's so many things you can do. Sure. You don't need that stuff.
I mean, look at us right now. The energy of our conversation has just exploded in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. And this is, I haven't eaten yet today. It's almost 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
but I feel amazing, and I might fast for most of the day. We'll see. But it's given me, anyway. So before we go down a rabbit hole of fasting and everything, intermittent fasting.
So many good things to talk about.
Dude, yeah, man. So it's always a pleasure. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, but anything, go home.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to give you a shout out.
Dude, I appreciate it.
I want to say thank you for having me on the show again.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to come talk to you. But something that the audience at home needs to know, about 3 months ago, we did a t-shirt drive where we put out our new Atlanta Performance Do the Work t-shirt. And
nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Yep.
You, sir, made a donation towards our team, and we are eternally grateful to you for it.
Dude, you don't have to say that. That's great.
But what was even better about that is that all of the money from the t-shirts go to athlete programs.
Yep.
But we had a bunch of kids from Georgia go to the Youth Pan Am Championships.
That's awesome.
So we were able to make a donation towards one of the kids to go on his trip. So
that's huge.
We raised a bunch of money, and we gave this kid a couple $100. But you sir, made a wonderful donation to us. So because of your generosity, I would like to give you our brand new Atlanta Performance.
Let's hold that in front of the camera,
Do the Work
man.
shirt.
Yeah. So we get the Atlanta Performance logo on the front.
Yes, sir.
Established 2 years ago? What's
this year?
Okay, this year.
This year.
And then I was 1 year off there. And
I've been a weightlifting coach forever.
Do the work. So that's the motto. That's what you're telling your athletes when you're in the gym and hustling and grinding and
better every day.
Yep.
Do the work.
Dude, I love it. Do the work. Everybody at home.
Do the work.
Do the work. Robert, pleasure, brother.
This is great.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, bud.
He's Robert Hall. I'm Jesse T. Catch us next week for the newest episode of the Jesse T Show. Take care.